Back downtown, JJ Redick speaking with Mike Trudell Media.
JJ, after what seemed like a pretty good first 5-6 minutes in terms of shot quality, what did you see from kind of midway through the first through the rest of the half defensively, and how what your team was doing against it?
I thought our first shot defense was great throughout the first half. They had 7 offensive rebounds for 12 points in the second quarter. We couldn't score for 6.5 minutes, and I think not surprised that they switched everything. We expected that. We scored 69 points in the second half against the same defense. I think we just got a little stagnant and didn't want to move. And you got to move. You got to play with force. You got to get to the next thing. Sometimes, and you'll have to ask the guys this, I think sometimes, the expenditure of energy on one end, and you don't have it for the other end. I thought our guys were playing hard on defense in the first half, and then just the second opportunities. And that continued, during our comeback. There were a number of possessions where got to stop, but they ended up getting an offensive rebound and end up scoring on it, or there's a loose ball, they get the loose ball. There was a few plays there, the 88-80 to start the fourth, and we get 2 wide open threes, and maybe that's a momentum change. We just the big momentum changing sort of stretch we just couldn't muster, and a lot of that had to do with just the second opportunities.
JJ, Luka just 6 for 17 tonight, and then defensively it felt like they were targeting him a lot in pick and rolls, and even when you guys would maybe put him on someone else, they'd find a way to bring him into the action. What did you make of his night on both sides?
Wasn't his night.
JJ, in the first half when you guys weren't scoring, it seemed like a lot of that was missed threes, but it was like your shot profile seemed to change, like I want to say like 8 and 9 foot twos, stuff like that. Like, what were they doing on that? Was that anything?
It was not what they were doing. It was what we were doing, and we showed them at halftime. The spacing, alignments, and having the wrong guy in the dunker spot, the wrong guy in the corner. It was not. Again, the structure of what we were trying to do against Reds, and what every team tries to do against Reds, is create the proper spacing and create the proper next guy and create the proper guys in the corners, and we just didn't have that. And you end up with turnovers, and you end up with a bunch of non-rim twos.
Is that disappointing, considering kind of the mentality that you would kind of ask your team to have in terms of like, we need to build playoff mentality now, and that's focus and stuff.
Yeah, we're still building it. We're not there.
You mentioned weeks ago, don't remember how long ago, but you mentioned that before the trade in February, you guys were really good against switching. Then you guys went through maybe a little bit of a lull against it. Were you surprised by how much you guys struggled against their switching, at least early on, before you guys seemed to recover and had the second half you did have offensively?
Not surprised. I wouldn't say surprised.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Lakers play the Pelicans in the second game of a back-to-back on Friday.
Austin, when you look at this one, you guys kept it between 7 and 10 all game long, eventually got it there to 5. What kind of kept you guys from getting over the hump down the stretch?
They did a good job offensive rebounding, and we did defensive rebounding. I think at one point in the third quarter they had, 14 offensive rebounds for like 25 points. So we did good on first shot defense, and then when you give them, second opportunities, they do a good job of getting offensive rebounds, spraying out the shooters, and making shots.
JJ mentioned it wasn't necessarily what they did, but you guys not being able to get to the proper spacing or spots within their coverages. How much of that obviously played a part in finding that rhythm, and what's the challenge of finding it when you need it late?
Yeah, I don't think it was a problem late. I think it was more so the first half. There was a pretty bad stretch that we, just didn't play very good. We wasn't organized, and against a team like that, most of the time Reds 1 through 5, with that second unit, you had to be organized and run your stuff, and we just didn't do it.
What's been the biggest challenge when you guys have faced teams that switch everything for you guys?
Just trying to figure out what works for us. you see flashes of things we do that are good, and then we kind of experiment with some other stuff, and it doesn't look so good. And we just got to figure out what we, can do as a unit to, combat their, 1 through 5 Reds.
JJ mentioned that we just showed you guys film during halftime. What did you guys see or pick up on during halftime that helped you guys in the second half offensively against their switching?
We always watch film and half, a couple clips, like 7, 8 or so. Just things that we didn't do good, things that we did do good, and just, try to dissect the game halfway through it to give yourself a better chance in the second half.
I think what JJ told us was that kind of the goal here over these last couple weeks was to start building a playoff mindset, and where attention to detail ratchets up and those different types of things. Better in the second half, but disappointing, I would assume, that in the first half that you guys got so unorganized. What needs to get better on that front?
You're not ever going to play a perfect game. You wish you could, but I lost what I was going to say. What'd you ask again?
Just basically about, in terms of, knowing that you guys need to play more detail-oriented, attention to detail on basketball, to then have a 7 or 8 minute stretch where it seemed like offensively you guys lost a lot of that.
It's frustrating, but that's part of the process of becoming a really good team. You got to go through those ups and down battles of going through situations where you have to figure it out. If everything was always smooth sailing, if at any point in the future it doesn't get there, if it's a little rocky, then you kind of don't know what to turn to. Once you go through things like this, you have to adapt and to adjust, and that's what we'll do. So we'll be better.
The portion of the first half, again, when Golden State was in the switches and you guys got a little bit stagnant, what do you think happened there, and why do you think that happens once in a while for you guys on the offensive end?
Yeah, I think we had a good start. I think we scored 15 points in the first 5 minutes, and after that we kind of was struggling. But I think it was because of our defense. We couldn't get stops, and they were getting all this second chance. The rebound, offense rebound and stuff. So we weren't getting the rhythm. That was the problem. And the third quarter, we came back in the same way, but they just didn't miss the shots. Pozinski, he made a lot of big threes. He made 8 threes. Yeah, that's it's a tough one. And then we got almost 24 seconds, and Draymond make threes in the last second. It was a tough one for us, and that was a game.
I know you guys always approach it one game at a time, but this does make things just a little tighter in the West. Is there any additional urgency for the remaining games of the season, really?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's every game, especially all those last games. I think we have 7 or 6, whatever the games. They're all against the West Coast team, West Conference team. So we gotta get all this, and literally every game we change. It's just standings that are changing. So every game is important. Next game, and we just gotta get all this, and then